The farms of Ohio are usually pretty traditional. Dairy, corn, and soybean farms are among the most prevalent. But Jerry Burton of Morrow is busy growing a much less traditional crop.
I started growing bamboo in 1978. At that time, I was in the insurance business, and I had an agency up in Centerville, and that gave me the luxury of having the time and the income to travel and to research, because bamboo wasn't very common in our climate during that particular time. And I wanted to find out what would grow well here. And I called the agricultural department for Ohio, and I said, give me everything that you have on bamboo. And he knew nothing. So that's when my quest began. I planted my first pots, about 10 of them, in 1978. I wanted to find out what would grow well here. So I purchased different varieties and species and so on. And I brought them home and I trial grew them. And I found out what would do well in our climate and what would not do well in our climate. And so, what's the old saying, how do you learn? By making mistakes? Well, I think I've helped a lot of people from making mistakes by finding out which will do well. There are over 1,200 different varieties in the world. However, most of them in southwestern Ohio aren't going to tolerate our winters. Well, I usually pick out about 2 dozen that will do well in our climate, and I don't go much further than that. We do have 30 different kinds because people are, of course, entitled to push the envelope. But those that will do well, those are the ones we push.
Traditionally, bamboo grows all around the equator. There's actually a Native American bamboo here in this country and all countries except Europe and the poles.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that there are more species growing in Central and South America than there are in Asia. Many people don't realize that. They think of it as an Asian plant.
And Jerry works to better educate his visitors about the versatility of this often misunderstood plant.
We offered the tours through the different groves. Unlike a different garden store, you get to see the finished products. Some of our groves have been in the ground for 30+ years.
Well, one of the things that we really stress today is the senior center tours and seminars. And that's because, number one, senior citizens don't have a whole lot of things to do that are interesting, and we find this to be very interesting, or at least I think it is. And so therefore, I tell them about the versatility of it, how it can be used for so many things. Not only can it be used for flooring, as that's very chic today, but they are also making a lot of clothing out of bamboo. And they're also making things like musical instruments. And the latest craze we have also is called bamboo bricks. And that comes out of Mexico, and those are wonderful for interior decorating.
And also during this tours, you get to see the granite statuary and all the exotic birds. It's a very unique place for people. My friends all would like to say it's paradise, a place of paradise, which I believe the same. You won't find a place like this anywhere around Ohio.
Bamboo, with its leafy groves, also offers solutions to control carbon emissions for an ailing environment.
Well, bamboo is the fastest growing plant in the world, and it's ideal for it. It's a shallow, living, growing plant. So bamboo will emit more oxygen than trees with their leaves, because you have so many more leaves with the bamboo, and it's so denser and thicker than trees, and it doesn't drop its leaves in the wintertime. It keeps them all year round. So you get much more of a tremendous effect of oxygen-carbon dioxide exchange because bamboo stays green throughout the year. So it's a wonderful plant for erosion control, for oxygen. It's just that we have to educate the public on using it.
And bamboo is clearly one thing that Jerry doesn't mind discussing.
There's so many things about it that I like. It stays evergreen, it's very flowing, it's very peaceful, tranquil, it has so much serenity. When you compare it with many other plants, of course, that may not be fair, but bamboo is something that just reaches inside of you and grabs you. I have a hard time describing that because there are so many subtle characteristic differences on the species, and each one is just unbelievable. You have Aerial sulcata, and then you have Aerial sulcata spectabilis, and the difference between those two is one is a green cane with a yellow groove, the other one is a yellow cane with a green groove, just the opposite. And I hate to keep going on, but that's just two, and we have many, many others too.
When I was growing up, I didn't really think much of his love for the bamboo. I was young and I didn't know much about it like everybody else, but as I grew older, I started learning more about it, and I started to share his love for it as well. When my dad retires, I intend just to keep expanding the garden so we can fit in more garden clubs and more senior retirement groups. I plan on just making it much bigger, better, more bamboo.